Hey there, everyone. It's Julie Hutchison here from Think Beat Do Leadership. And I'm in holiday mode, so I've got my shoulders out. Apologies if anybody doesn't like shoulders. So today we are going to be talking about, I said mostly complaining, but not really, because it's Friday afternoon and I'm super happy because I've just got some really nice feedback from a training I did yesterday. A disc training. So if you want to do that, let me know actually, because it's really cool. But what we're talking about today is that people are watching you and they notice how you show up, and that as a leader, sometimes we have to do the things that we don't want to do, even when we don't want to do them, and even when we feel like we really aren't happy and we're really fed up, and how we need to show up differently from those people, the others, let's say, if we want to have the impact that we want in our business. So why we need to be conscious of how we show up and the impression that we have on people, and what we can do to really make sure that we are showing up in the way that we need to. And the reason why this was something that I was thinking about was quite funny, actually, because we're going camping in about an hour, and we've got our camping toilet and we don't really use it. Don't get me wrong, we don't really use it very much, but somebody forgot to clean it when we brought it back, so we don't use it for number twos. We just use it for number ones. Anyway, so it was emptied, but it wasn't like super cleaned, if you know what I mean. So it got put away, and we could have surreptitiously just like pulled it out, couldn't we? But we knew that we had to do the right thing. It needed to be cleaned. So I got out there, even though that's probably the worst job in the world, isn't it? Cleaning your own toilet is probably not the worst job in the world. Cleaning somebody else's, maybe, but very needed. And so anyway, I digress. The reason why I was thinking about it was, like when you don't want to do something and you think, oh, I haven't got time, I want to go on holiday, that's a pain, I could just leave that behind and not take it. Or you could choose, not that I did, but you could choose to leave it, to not do it, or to just sweep it under the carpet, so to speak, and to not do the thing that you should be doing because you think nobody will notice. And that's where I got to, why I got to where I got to. And so if no one's looking, then sometimes you might think to yourself, it doesn't matter, nobody's looking, it won't notice. Now, we all know that recently in the news, there's a few people that wish that they had done the right thing, because people do notice. And that's what I want to talk about, because when we think no one's looking, the problem with that is that as leaders, whether you're the business owner or whether you are a leader of a team or whatever you are, if you want to step up as a leader, then people are going to follow, people are going to join you, people are going to want to be part of that. And the thing is, that puts you on display. Okay, so you are there for everyone to see. And we get used to that. At first, when we first become a leader, or when we first stand up and say something, it's like, well, we know everybody's looking and we're very conscious. But then we get very used to, you get sort of like unconscious about being in front of people or stepping up, and then we forget that people might actually be looking and noticing, because you're just going about your daily business of being the boss or the leader or the manager or whatever you think that you want to call it. And the problem with that is that when you get used to it, you think that nobody is going to see the things that you do or don't do. And I think it was Jim Rohn who said, easy to do, easy not to do. But it could have been somebody else, but I'm sure it was Jim Rohn. Somebody can check. If Katie's on here, she has to check again, because Katie's my checker when she comes on. So hello, Katie, if you're here. If you're listening live, by the way, then do say, don't look. I really love to hear from you. Say hello and put hashtag live in your comments. And if you are, am I on comments? Yeah. And if you are listening on the replay, then just put hashtag replay and then your comment or your question, because I'd be more than happy to answer it. So where were we? Yes. So you get used to it. You think no one's looking, and then you do things that you probably either shouldn't do or you don't think is going to be the best. Hey there, ASA International Property Consultant. That sounds very exciting. I think I know who that is. Hello. And so you think people's not looking, but they are. So we start making different decisions, potentially, depending on our moral compass and all those things, about what we would do in front of people or what we would do when we think we're not being watched. And I want to take you back to when I first left university, which is some time ago. All right, you don't need to say. When I first left university, I was asked to implement something called total quality management. I don't even know if that's still a thing anymore, but if it is, then great. And if it's not, I'll tell you, it was all about how we implement quality systems and processes in our business. Not very interesting, but it's all about the people. So we were saying that everybody needs to be responsible and we need to pass on our best work and all these sorts of things. And I was responsible for training 800 people, which I did. And they were all working in a big bakery of 800 people. And they all got it and they loved it and they thought it was brilliant, even though some might say, well, they weren't managers, they weren't necessarily. Some of them were shift supervisors and things like that. But generally, it was just like everybody in the company. And the thing is, they all agreed with me, and my job was to get people on board and get champions for implementing total quality management. But the problem I had is that everybody kept saying, well, yeah, it sounds great, Julie, but I'm not doing it. And I was, to say the least, a young graduate. I was like, 22 maybe? And I was frustrated, to say the least. And the reason I was frustrated is because I couldn't see why they wouldn't do it. If they got the principle and they thought it was good and they thought it could work, why would you not do it? And then a number of them, we had a little chat and they said, well, look, the problem is that we could do it, but we don't see the management doing it. We don't see them living the dream, walking the talk, or doing the actual things that they're saying that we should be doing. So, Julie, they've put you out there to train us, but they're not doing it themselves. And it was glaringly obvious to these 800 people that the managers didn't believe in it. They didn't want to do it. And so what they were seeing was incongruence with what I was saying, unfortunately, but what the leaders in the business were saying and what they were doing, because they didn't think that anybody was watching them. And that's, see, I am getting there. I'm getting around. I'm linking it up today. So if people don't think that anybody's watching, they think these 800 people are just getting on with their jobs of creating beautiful bread and aren't looking at these people, then they are. And there was other things like, if the managers didn't wear the hairnet in the right way, then everybody saw, they were like, well, if I'm not going to name the right name, I'll think of a name. My average name, Bob. If Bob isn't doing it, why should I do it? If Julie doesn't do it, I did wear my hairnet properly. But if somebody else isn't doing it, if one of the managers wasn't doing it, or they're not taking it seriously, or they're not trying, and they're walking around as if it doesn't matter to them, then why should it matter to other people? And so I had to go back as the graduate trainee at that point. So I had to go back and tell that management team that it wasn't going to work this way, because they weren't putting their heart and soul into this. Unless they put their heart and soul in and showed that they meant it and delivered themselves via their behaviors and their mindset that they want to do it, then nobody else of the rest of the 800 strong people were going to do it. And this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. Like, if you don't, whoever's listening who didn't catch the start, then you're going to think this is weird. But if you don't clean your toilet and you think it's okay just to give it a wipe, then it's not, because somebody will notice. Yeah, if you don't do what you say you believe in, if you don't stand up and show and deliver the behaviors that are congruent with what you say your business or you believe in, then you're not congruent. Nobody's going to believe you. So the impact that you're having is like, it's all over the place. It's a negative thing, because in fact, it's even worse than not saying it in the first place. Because if you say you stand for something and then you go against that and you circumvent the system, or you do something that is incongruent with it, like telling everybody to stay inside and then not staying inside yourself, or any of those things, yeah, if no one's looking and you think no one's looking, people are looking for a start. And if they're not looking, then you should act as if they are looking, because the congruence with what you say you believe in and what you do is the key to the impact that you want to have. As a leader, the impact will be positive on people, because they were like, yep, says that, I agree with that, and look, I can see them. Oh, look, I can see them doing it. Yeah. And then people are going to decide whether they want to choose to follow that or not. They might disagree with the whole principle, then that's a different matter. But if they agree with the principle, they have to see you are doing that principle. And I think that's super, super important. So if you agree with me, then put in their principle in the comments for me. If you agree, and if you don't agree, then just put unprincipled. Uh, because we need to choose as leaders to act as if we might be being watched, but not really, because actually it's act as if, not even acting, doing what we said because we believe in it and because it's the right thing to do, not just because we think people are looking. And definitely not doing it is not an option. Yeah, even when people are looking or not. Did I just say that right? Yeah. So whether or not anybody's looking, we should be doing it because it's the right thing. There you go. Not just because people are looking, and not to avoid it when we think people aren't. So I hope that makes sense. I think I just went around in a big circle there. So that's what I'm talking about. If that resonates with you, then great. That's wonderful. I want you to ask yourself this question. Am I guilty? I think we're all guilty at some point, aren't we? My kids sometimes say, well, why have we got to do this when you aren't doing it, or whatever? Or why can't we have sweets if you're sitting there gorging your face? It's along the same principles, really, in that, if you want people to display the right behaviors, then they've got to see, that they're not alone. Why should they follow you? Why should they, do what you want them to do if you're not willing to show that that's something that you truly believe in, so much so that you're going to deliver it? So what I would love to know, either private, if it's not as you want it to be, or on this message, is how do you feel about that? Do you think that you actually are congruent with what you say you stand up for, or do you, once you think people aren't looking, do you feel like maybe I'll let it slip a little bit? Okay. Because what on our Leaders Launchpad, when we start to get feedback on people, when we ask our clients, our delegates, to go out there and get feedback and find out proper feedback, not that tick box thing, we get people to have a conversation, and they want to know, really, what impact am I having? Where am I congruent? Where am I not? What does that do for you? That's when you really start to find out what people really think of you. And it ain't always pretty, I know, but if you don't know it, then you can't do anything about it. So if you want some help with that, or any of the strategies that I am bringing up to you in the lives that we do here, then give me a shout and we can talk about the ways in which that you can come and join us and be involved in growing as a leader. Because when you grow as a leader, you then grow your team, and then you grow your business. And that's what's important, is that we are a leader that impacts people so that they can be enabled and grow and help you to grow your business. So have a wonderful Friday. It is now 1:30 and I'm going camping, and we have a clean toilet. So, and if that means nothing to you because you're listening to the end of this, then go back and listen to the start and you'll find out why it's relevant to have a clean toilet. Okay, have a wonderful day, and give me a shout if you would like more information about how you can work with me on this and many other leadership and team performance practical strategies. Take care. Bye-bye.